Pardon me?
I said, I understand y'all have reached a verdict.
We have.
All right, you have the verdict form with you?
I do.
Can you hand that to the bailiff, please?
I will.
Ask the clerk to publish the verdict.
In the Circuit Court of the 14th Judicial Circuit in Fort Bay County, Florida, case number 22608CA, Zachary Young plaintiff versus Cable News Network, Inc. defendant. Verdict form number 1. Do you find by the greater weight of the evidence that defendant CNN committed defamation per se against plaintiff Zachary Young? Yes. Number 2, do you find by the greater weight of the evidence that defendant CNN committed defamation by implication against plaintiff Zachary Young? Yes. Number 3, what is the total amount of plaintiff Zachary Young's damages for both lost earnings in the past and for the loss of his earning capacity in the future, reduced by the amount that plaintiff could have earned from comparable employment? $4 million. Number 4, what is the total amount of plaintiff Zachary Young's damages for pain and suffering, mental anguish, inconvenience, injury to reputation, and loss of capacity for the enjoyment of life that he sustained in the past and that he has sustained for the future? $1 million. Number 5, do you find by clear and convincing evidence that punitive damages are warranted against defendant CNN? Yes. Date, January 17, 2025, signed by the foreperson.
Okay. Yeah.
So there you have it. The jury unanimously found CNN guilty of defaming Zachary Young and decided to award him with $5 million in compensatory damages. Now, Zachary Young sued CNN for $1 billion, and that $5 million is obviously a far cry from that $1 billion figure. However, there are also going to be punitive damages. So the question is how much is this initial $5 million going to increase? Is it going to double? Is it going to triple? Or is it going to be orders of magnitude larger that gets us closer to that $1 billion figure? Now, for those of you who have been following my coverage of the trial, you know that I've been disappointed that the mainstream media hasn't really been covering the trial. It seems like they've been ignoring it or just sweeping it under the rug. Well, ever since this news just broke, all of a sudden there are headlines everywhere. This is flooding the internet. According to the Washington Post, CNN found guilty of defaming security contractor, ordered to pay $5 million. And within this article, they have more details on how this punitive punishment is going to play out. They write that the punitive damages are typically a much larger amount that is intended to punish CNN and to put other media companies on notice. Now, I don't think it's as much about like persecuting the press or punishing the press as much as it is holding them accountable and reminding them that, hey, with great power comes great responsibility. Yes, it's cliche, but it's also true. And if you're going to have a megaphone, you can't be knowingly and maliciously broadcasting falsehoods out to the public. It's just not right. So I'm glad that, yes, they awarded him that $5 million in compensatory damages, but I'm hoping that the punitive damages are a lot more, and that this really puts the mainstream media on notice that, hey, we're not going to tolerate fake news anymore. It's okay if you provide a different opinion. It's okay if you provide different angles on a story, but keep it factual, stay grounded in the truth, and don't try to gaslight or manipulate viewers into believing a narrative that you're trying to push. Just do your job. It's not that difficult. Now, international media is already picking up on this. The Independent writes, CNN found liable for $5 million in defamation trial against U.S. Navy veteran over Afghanistan report. Now, as I've been covering the case, I've been sharing pieces that I think are the most interesting or the most relevant with you guys. But with a case this large, many pieces get lost in the mix or fly under the radar. So I wanted to talk about something that I didn't mention in a previous video. So in order to win defamation, you have to prove that there was intent. And as if all the other evidence wasn't bad enough, there was also this. CNN employees are on the record as describing Zachary Young as, quote unquote, having a punchable face. I mean, come on. The guy, not only is he a Navy vet, but he did something heroic in trying to save and rescue people from Afghanistan. If he has a punchable face, if CNN staffers are on record insulting the way he looks, it makes you wonder. Again, a Navy vet and a hero. I mean, both things. But if that's how they talk about him, it makes me wonder, how do they talk about the rest of us? How do they talk about Trump supporters behind our backs? It's just not a good look for CNN. And again, that's just one piece of evidence on top of everything else that they did, ignoring the story or trying to manipulate. I talked about it in a previous video, and if you didn't watch the video, I encourage you to go back and watch it. So that leads me to the point. How big are these punitive damages going to get? And that's the question that I'm going to leave up to you. Let's turn this into a guessing game. Leave your predictions as far as the punitive damages. Do you think it's going to be close to that 1 billion figure? The figure that CNN is being sued for? Do you think it's going to be in between? Do you think it's going to be closer to the $5 million in compensatory damages? Let me know your predictions down below. So as that Washington Post article reported, punitive damages aren't just about punishment. It's also about sending a message to the other media companies and saying, hey, you have a responsibility here too. And one of the media companies, one of the programs that has been under fire recently is ABC's The View. So in February, I think it was like in a single week, they issued like 4 or 5 legal notes, basically they weren't quite retractions, but they were adding context. They were talking about things and maybe insinuated or implied that someone was guilty of something. Then they had to read a legal notice that, hey, these are the facts, and then everything we just said was our opinion. So it'll be interesting to see if they tighten up the rhetoric over at ABC. And it's not about controlling the rhetoric. It's not about controlling their speech. It's not about controlling their thought or opinion. It's just saying, hey, you have to be clear when you report the facts. You can have the opinions you want. You can have the analysis and the point of view that you want. But the basis of your commentary, what you're reporting as news, has to be factual. Well, over at The View, they are indeed having a meltdown. And even though Joe Biden is still in office, Joy Behar is already saying that she misses him.
So I miss him already. I miss him. He's a good person. He spent the last 50 years caring about the country. This other one spent 50 years scamming everybody, and trying to stay out of jail. You know who I'm talking about. I really miss Biden. I feel like we were safe. Like, I didn't have to worry. Was everything going to blow up? I could live my life while he was there. Now, every day I wake up and I worry, what is this guy going to do next? Yeah. And these oligarchs, can I just say one more thing and then I'll shut up?
No. You don't have to shut up.
They need to start shelling their money out. These guys, Bezos and Musk, they give it to Trump. Yeah. Do they think that they're going to live forever, these people? Everybody dies. I hate to break it to them, but you are not going to live forever. According to the World Food Program, we could end world hunger by 2030 with $40 billion. That's all it would take. And Elon Musk, his net worth grew by $170 billion in the month after the election.
Oh, just wait.
Yeah. Just keeps making more and more money, and nothing is done with that money to help people. It's just to increase their power.
She has lost her mind. She is lost. I mean, they've been crazy for a while, but look, I know some of you get annoyed whenever I show clips of The View, but trust me, it's going to be hilarious the next 4 years because they're just going to get crazier and crazier with their Trump derangement syndrome. There is no recovery. They're like stage 5 and beyond. Stage 50. Stage 47 is what they're at of Trump derangement syndrome. She's complaining about the oligarchs. Well, what about George Soros, who Joe Biden, awarded him a medal just last week? And she wants to talk about how she misses Joe Biden already. Well, newsflash to Joy Behar, not only is Joe Biden still in office, but the reason you miss him is because he's been mentally checked out for a while. You haven't seen Joe Biden in 6 months, a year, 2 years, 4 years. The guy we're seeing right now is not mentally the same man who was Barack Obama's president. I mean, I don't quite know where the decline happened because we've been seeing the decline, but whoever is mentally up in there is not the same Joe Biden that we all have known over the years. Well, before I wrap up the video, and I have an update on the pet name guessing game, I did want to issue a correction on my previous upload. So my previous upload, I was talking about the reporter who got dragged out of Secretary of State Antony Blinken's press briefing. And look, this is just proof that I do read all the comments, and I take them seriously. I monitor everyone's sentiment, feedback, all of that. And Sonia points out, let's be fair, I watched the whole Blinken statement live. Husseini, the reporter who was dragged out, wasn't the first interruption during that opening statement. Max Blumenthal had a disruptive outburst moments earlier and was also removed. Credentials don't mean they don't also identify as an activist. They were explained they would be given an opportunity for a time of questions and answers. They chose not to wait and instead be unhinged. These were not questions. We should still maintain decorum. And you know what? Sonia is 100% right. That is my bad. And I'm just going to read my response to her. I thought I was going to explain it on air, and I am sure I'll ad lib here and there, but the more I thought about it, I was like, you know what, I'll just read this statement because I think it better encapsulates and distills what I'm going to try to say, and probably ramble too much about if I just do this unscripted. But I wrote, this is 12 hours ago, you are correct. I got my summation from Grok. For those of you unfamiliar, Grok is X's or Twitter's AI tool, and it was inaccurate. I will be issuing a retraction at the end of tomorrow's first video, edited to add additional clarification. I usually read the transcripts of these events to get the gist of the stories that I'm reporting on, but in this case, I was behind in work and wanted to get a video out, so I used Grok to get context because I couldn't find context in regards to the video in the comments. So I found the clip. I didn't watch, like with the CNN coverage I've been doing, I've been pulling that myself from the transcripts. But in that particular report, I pulled the clip from X, and there were two clips from X that I found, and I superimposed them on top of each other. And I was trying to get more context. It wasn't in the comments. I didn't find it in articles, so I asked Grok. And so that was a mistake on my behalf and explains why I made the misrepresentation. That was not my intent. I acknowledge the error, and I do apologize to all of y'all. And the reason it's important for me to bring this up is because the point of my videos is commentary, but that can only be relevant as long as it's based on the facts and the truth. So it is important for me to clarify this. And truth is, I don't want your views, because views... And I'm not trying to make anyone upset. Please hear me out, and I think you'll get what I'm saying. Views are fleeting. And, side story, like one of the... I have very thick skin, but there is one comment that gets under my skin every single time. And it's when someone accuses me of being clickbaity. And, there's this notion that clickbait is you just exaggerate a title, and then it misrepresents what your video actually is, because you're just trying to get people to click on your video. And while I do make my headlines sensational, I always make it a point to make sure that the titles are truthful, accurate, and that the content of the video delivers on the promise of the title. So I personally don't view my titles as clickbaity. But again, that's just a commitment to that honesty. And the point I'm trying to make here is that going back to views, I don't just want views. I want your trust. And so it's important for me to clarify that, because if I am disingenuous, or if something has been misrepresented, I mean, if the point of my channel is commentary, and if the facts of what I'm commentating on aren't accurate, then everything coming out of my mouth is just fiction. It's not true, and that's not what I want. That's not the purpose of the channel. Do I want my videos to be entertaining? Yes, but they're not entertainment. They're not fiction. I want everything to be rooted in reality. So I apologize for that. I want to be very clear on what happened. And I learned my lesson. I don't usually use Grok or AI in that way. I've just been... Look, it's been a rough start to the year. The holiday break was number one, and then after that, I got sick. And so I was really behind on work, and I was just trying to use AI to expedite the video making process. I've learned my lesson. So that's all I have to say about that. Now, for those of you still watching, we are doing a guessing game on the channel. I will reveal my pets' names to celebrate crossing 100,000 subscribers if and when the channel gets to that point. So my dog, and I also have a cat, and I will update y'all tonight with everyone else who has guessed their names correctly. But every time I cross 1,000 subscriber threshold, so we just crossed 98, there will be one more clue at 99,000 subscribers and then the reveal at 100. But there are now 3 clues for the dog, and I put them on a graphic because I figured that might make it easier. So, clues for the dog. Number 1, he is named after a dragon in a fantasy series. Clue number 2, if you can identify Chef Ramsay, you have the ingredients to scramble my name. Clue number 3, do you hear what I hear, Joe Rogan? And that those are the 3 clues for my dog, and the 3 clues for my cat's name are: number 1, he is named after a lucky gambler in a fantasy series. Clue number 2, if you remove the Oni from the state of marriage, you have my name. And clue number 3, wipe your feet before kicking my tires. Those are the clues for the cat. So leave your guesses in the comments below, and I will update y'all with everyone who has guessed their names correctly. Everyone who guesses their name correctly, whether you guess one, the other, or both, you will be entered into a raffle. I have 5 $50 Amazon gift cards, and I will do that raffle as well as the pet name reveal if and when the channel is lucky enough to cross 100,000 subscribers. So with all of that being said, if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give me a thumbs up. I know it's a simple thing to ask, but it really helps me reach more viewers like you. If you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe. Let's reach that goal, and be sure to check out one of these videos.